In this fifth and last module of our Pandas tutorial, we shall look at the solution to some of the assignment problems that we already shared. I hope you have attempted those assignment questions and gave it a try. If you haven't done so, before watching the solutions, please go ahead and attempt the assignment questions that are present at the end of each lecture of this Pandas tutorial. These assignment questions will help you prepare well for your Pandas interview or your data science machine learning interview where Pandas play a crucial role. Pandas, as you know, is one of the very important data processing tools in Python for machine learning. Additionally, we shall also discuss some of the other important interview questions for Pandas, and at the end of this entire tutorial, I am confident that you shall become a Pandas master and be able to apply the various techniques in Pandas in order for your data processing. So, I am Saurabh Agarwal. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In the earlier 4 modules of our Pandas tutorial, we discussed about how to create series and data frame, how to create series from list, dictionary, data frame from list of rows, dictionary, indexing using iloc, lock. We also discussed some of the attribute level functionalities, table level functionalities, and importantly, we also discussed multi-indexing. Now coming to our assignment questions, in order to attempt or solve these assignment questions, I have taken a dummy data frame wherein I have 2 attributes or 2 columns. One is platform, the other is number of users. The numbers denoted here with respect to each platform are in millions, but they are only exemplary and might differ from the actual values. Okay, so let us first create this data frame. Using pd.dataframe, we pass the 2 columns, the corresponding values. Now, if you look at the info for this data frame, we see we have 2 different columns, and the first column is an object type, whereas the second is an int64. Our first assignment question was how do we change the data type of a column in data frame? So in order to change the data type of a particular column in data frame, we use as type. Here you see da.asType, we pass the attribute name within this dictionary and pass the corresponding attribute type or data type. We set copy equal to false if we do not want to have if we do not want to return an object. Instead we want to have an in place operation, so we set copy equal to false. So for this we see what we get. We have platform, again we have 5 null, so the description remains same, only the data type is, you see, from int64 for number of users it changed to float 64. Okay, the second question that we had was how will you create an empty data frame in Pandas? Understand that an empty data frame is a data frame that has a memory reference but it does not contain any record. So in order to create an empty data frame, you can simply call pd.dataframe, or if you want to create an empty data frame with columns, then you can specify the columns for that empty data frame. If you look at it, if you do demp.shape, it is 0, 0 because we haven't specified either the columns or the rows, but demp exists in memory now. Similarly, demp2 has 0 rows but 3 columns. Okay, hope you are understanding this. Let us now move on to our third interview question. In the third assignment question, write a Python function to return current date and the next leap year using Pandas. So understand, using Python alone, if you do not want to use Pandas, then you can use the datetime library of Python in order to perform this function. However, Pandas also internally uses this datetime attribute or datetime module of Python in order to have its own datetime object. Okay, now here we will use Pandas datetime. So we create a function def current date leap year, cd equal to pd.datetime.now. So this will return the current date and time. Okay, we set leap equal to false because we want to check which coming year would be a leap year. So we will iterate in a loop. we select the date of from this date time. Date time contains both date and time, but we will only require date in order to find the leap year, right? Time is not important in this aspect. So we loop over while not leap. TS is pd.timestamp dt. We convert this date time object into timestamp object. Leap ts dot is leap year. Is leap year will check whether this current date that we passed in ts timestamp is a leap year or not. If it is, and then what we do, we increment this year by 365 days. Now we will return the current date and the previous year, because when will this loop exit? This loop will exit when our leap is already true, and when it is true, even then we are incrementing it by 365 days. So we need to subtract the year by 1. Okay, so if you look at it, so what is the current date? And okay, sorry, I did not call this function, let me call it first. See, the current date is 8th of October 2022 and the next leap year is 2024, right? If you check at the calendar, let's go to 2024, 2023, 2024 Feb. See, this is a leap year. Okay, so now you understand. Hope you are making sense of what we are doing here. We are using the date time. Hope you are making sense of what we are doing. We are making use of the date time and time delta of the Pandas module or the Pandas library. Okay. The next function that we have is write a function to return the 3 rows having largest int memory when 4G is 1 and when 4G is 0. So understand the question first. What we have to do when we first have group by on our 4G attribute, when 4G is 1, we select the top 3 rows having the largest int memory. And similarly, when 4G is 0, we select the top 3 rows having the largest int memory. So these are two particular groups from which we are getting. So primarily we'll have 6 rows. So we first import our train.csv. This file I already shared when we were discussing the assignment. It's the second assignment. Okay, let us again include this here. So we have train.csv now in our runtime, and we will simply import it, read the file as a CSV. We know it has 2000 rows and 21 columns, and the corresponding columns are available as this. Next, we create a function called top-k. What will top-k do? It will group by the data frame based on the column, here 4G, select the corresponding attribute based on which we want to filter. Then we take the n largest of this in memory. Now what we will have the data frame which is a group by data frame, and we are filtering the int memory based on the top 3 largest. We will have the corresponding values. Now what we will return here, data.ilog temp.index.get level values 1. So let us see what temp is. Okay, let us print temp as well. And see what temp is containing. Temp contains the 4G 4G attributes 0, 4G value 0 and 4G value 1. So for this 4G 0 and 4G 1, these are the largest int memory, 64, 64, 64. Coincidentally, it appeared to be all the same values, but it could be different. And these are the indices or the indexes corresponding to which we have this largest value. Now what we are doing is temp.index, we select the index dot get level values at the level 1. So what are these index values? This is what we are selecting. And based on this index values, we are using ilog to return the corresponding rows. Let us see what T contains here. This should contain 6 rows. See, there are 6 rows, and the rows have their corresponding index as 49, 319, 322, 81, 87 and 144. Also, if you look at the int memory for these, So the int memory for these are 64. Again, this could be different values, but what values we have here, that would be here. Okay, so if there would be 32 instead of 64 anyway, so we would have 32 here. Next question is, do all 4G phones have 3G and Wi-Fi included? If not, what is the distribution? So first of all, what we will do, we will group by 4G and 3G, and we will check what are the count corresponding to each of the groups. So the first group is 0, 0, 4G is 0, 3G is 0. Second group is 0, 1. Third group is 1, 1. There could have been a fourth group which is 1, 0, but we see that group is not present. So we see from this distribution or this value count that whenever 4G is 1, we always have 3G in 100% of the cases based on our data set. So the first question is answered, that all 4G phones have 3G included. But when we talk of Wi-Fi similarly, we see nearly 50% of the mobile phones, when 4G is 1, nearly 50% of them have Wi-Fi, whereas another 50% does not have Wi-Fi. The number would not be exactly 50%, it would be 50 point something, but for simplicity understand that this is nearly 50%. Okay. So this is what we understand, and the corresponding distributions we know that in 50% of the cases we have Wi-Fi when our 4G is 1. However, in 100% of the cases we have 3G whenever 4G is available. Okay. So next we come to the sixth question or sixth assignment question. Find the row containing highest RAM for each price range. Again, understand the question. We have to find the row containing the highest RAM for each price range. There what we do, we were having group by on the categorical values of 4G. Now we will select based on each level of price range what is the highest RAM and the corresponding row for that highest RAM. Again, we group by price range, we select RAM and we do IDX max. Now remember, IDX max will help us get the maximum index, okay, the row containing the maximum value, the index corresponding to that row. So it is kind of like, say the maximum value for RAM, let's see here what is there. So maximum value of RAM is 1964 for price range 0. So this particular part, okay, IDX max would give you the index corresponding to this row, which would be 407. If you want to see, let us just check IDX data dot group by price range, select RAM dot IDX max. Let me print IDX. See, the IDX contains the values 407, 542, 1167 and 940, which we use in our ilog in order to return the corresponding rows. Okay, so always break down a problem into simplest components. Here what we did, we first grouped our price based on the different levels. We selected the RAM index corresponding to the highest RAM in each group, and then we filtered the rows corresponding to those indices. With this, we come to the end of the assignment questions for the third module. Next, coming to assignment questions on the fourth module. Given a data frame DF3, sum the values for the indices in level 0. Now here we have already defined a data frame DF3 having height, weight, and the index is a multi-index. It's just a random multi-index that we specified. What we have to do, we have to sum the values for the indices in level 0. So level 0 contains two indices, 0 and 1. So we have to sum for them. How we will do that? We will select the cross section at level 0 with key 0 and the cross section at level 0 with key 1 and sum them up. It's as simple as this. Okay. Here we are getting null values. Why? Because in our second component we do not have the value C or the index value C. So whenever you don't have it, it would be assumed to be null, and anything you add to null will return null or none. Given the data frame df3, find the values for index value a. So what are the values corresponding to index a? Okay, so again we will use access at level 1 with key a. So we see the corresponding height, weight for 0 and 1. Okay, now with this we come to the end of our assignment questions. Again I repeat that in order to master anything, right, you must break it down into structured, easily manageable steps. And I'm confident that this particular tutorial will help you have a walkthrough in a structured manner, wherein in a step-by-step fashion we learn the different components of pandas, and most importantly it will provide you with an exposure to go ahead, apply and utilize these components in different aspects of whenever you go for data processing. You cannot learn every concept, every nook and corner of any library, and that is just tedious. What is more important is to understand how to utilize the capabilities of that library, and whenever you need to implement something different, whenever you need to apply a different concept, you can just Google it out and use it in your own application. Okay, so make sure you follow the tutorials in a structured manner. We have included 7 additional interview questions for pandas, and these interview questions are based on the diverse range of topics. Also some of the questions would cover those topics which we skipped over in our tutorials or which we did not cover in depth in our tutorials. So we first create a data frame, pd.dataframe, having 3 attributes: name, age and subjects. Consider here name. Okay, we have different names, we have age, and the subjects that we take are a list of subjects for each individual. Okay, this makes sense. Now if you look at this data frame, this would look something like this. Okay, now our first interview question is, how would you convert a column of lists, here subjects, into rows? How would you convert this particular list into rows? Okay, so what you have to do, you have to have one subject in each row and corresponding to each individual. So there is a method in pandas called explode. We do dataframe.explode and pass the corresponding attribute which contains a list of attributes, a list of data values. So upon calling df.explode, what we will see that we have the name, age and the subjects. You understand, see that the name and age here are repeated corresponding to each element in our list that we had. So Rahul 22 mathematics, Rahul 22 arts, Sita 21 science, Sita 21 psychology, Karan 20 commerce, Sam 18 economic, and so on. See, the second interview question, and I want all of you to go ahead and attempt this question with me. Okay, just pause this video here, attempt it and then come back for the solution. Can you convert the above column containing list of elements into separate columns? So what we did is we converted each of them into separate rows, into individual rows. Now what we want to do here is we want to separate them out into individual columns. Okay, so you would have Rahul 22 mathematics arts, okay, Sita 21 science psychology, this manner. So what we do is pd.dataframe df subjects.toList. First of all, we convert it into two lists, then we create a data frame here. So if you see, you have two additional rows, two additional columns, mathematics, 0 and 1, containing the corresponding subjects. If there would be 3 in any, so you would have 3 columns. And those where you have less than 3, less than 2, less than 2, you would have none in the first column. Okay, so this is very simple to apply, right? And this comes very useful in different data processing ideas, mostly when you deal with lists in any attribute. Okay, our third interview question is based on the indexing. What is the difference between set index and reindex in pandas? Give it an attempt. Okay, the difference between set index and reindex. Okay, so what set index does is, set index is used to set an existing column from the data frame as an index. So our existing column from a data frame or a set of columns from a data frame would be used as the index for our data frame. Reindex, on the other hand, takes data from outside and maps it with our current indices with the data frame. So we'll see it using an example. Okay, so another difference between reindex is, for new indices not already existing, a row of nuns is created. However, no such none is created in set index. So let us set, we already have this data frame df. For this data frame, data set index name. So what will happen? If you see, we had the name column here, and this name column is now used as index. Okay, so we already had. Now understand here, if you would have repetitions in name, then this would not work. This would generate an error. You, in order to set anything as an index, it must be unique. Okay, now we will see what we'll see. Reindexing. We created a new index. Remember, this data must come from outside in order for reindex. Sita, Rahul, Mary, Billy. Now we set our index as name. Earlier we did not set in place. We just I just wanted to show you how this would look like. We haven't modified our original data frame df. So we store it in a separate data frame t. T dot reindex new index. So what we'll do, you had Rahul, Sita, Karan, Sam, Mary. It will map these values, Sita, Rahul, Mary, Billy, with these values. So you would find Sita here, you would find Rahul here, and you would find Mary here. There is no Karan, there is no Sam. So these two rows would be missing from our new data frame after reindexing. Additionally, the row corresponding to Billy would have null values. So let us see. So Sita is present, Rahul is present, Mary is present, but Karan and Sam are not, and Billy is having null entries. Now you get an essence of what is happening between set index and reindex. Okay. So this I think this concept would be clear for you now. Set index and reindex, and often this question is very frequently asked by interviewers in when you go for any machine learning interview where you are applying based for a Python or where you have pandas as your skill set. The next interview question, and again a very important question here, is how to rename columns or index in data frame. Okay, we earlier changed the data type of a particular column. Now we want to change the name of the columns or indices. So here we call df.rename columns, subjects and field. So in order for us to change the name of subject column to fields column, we pass this as one of our objects in dictionary. Remember, this is what we are passing is a dictionary with the key corresponding to the original field name or original attribute name and the value corresponding to the new name for that column. So we had name, age and subjects. Now we have name, age and fields. Okay. If you want to rename an index, it's as simple as t.index.names. You pass the name of the index. If it is a multi-level, you pass a list of values. Otherwise, you passed a single value. Okay. Another very important question that we come to is sort the explored data frame by age in ascending order and subjects in descending order. So we did not talk about sorting when we discussed the various functionalities in pandas. However, sorting is again a very important technique that is available in the pandas module. In order to sort, what we do, so I have already exploded it and stored it in the data frame exp. We will call exp.sort values by age comma subjects. Remember, we first sort by age and then by subjects. So this ordering is important here. If it had been first subject order by subject and then by age, then this ordering would be reverse. And then in the same order we pass the ascending and descending. We want to sort by ascending order for age, so we set true for the first, and descending order, so we set false for the second. If you see, this is how it would look like. So age 18, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, and the corresponding subjects for 18, if you see for age 18, they are in reverse order, E then A. Similarly, C is just one, so it won't have any effect. Science and psychology, so S comes before P here because this is a descending order. Okay. Now, next question that what we are going to discuss is very often confused or ignored by individuals preparing for interviews mostly. In applications or in your real life applications or data processing, you might not see very much use of it, but from an interview perspective, this question it has been seen to occur very frequently. So find the rank of Karan based on his age. You understand rank, like what is the position of an individual based on a certain ordering. So what we do is df age dot rank. We find the rank of the various ages that we have, and we select the corresponding. See what we are. See, let us break it down first. We take df dot log, df name equal to Karan dot index. What is the index value for Karan? And for the age we find out the rank, and for the corresponding index of Karan we return the rank value. So if you see, Karan is having the rank 2 based on age. If you see from this table, see, this is rank 1, this is rank 2 based on age. Okay. Now coming to our last interview question, and again, if you go for any time series based applications, or if you are applying for a role where your role requires you to work with time series data, which most often is the case for almost all the applications at one point or the other, you have to work with time series data. So date time, time delta, such interview questions become very frequent. What we are going to do here is increment the current date by t days. We already saw this example when we discussed about finding the leap year, but here we find the cd.pd.datetime now, current time, and pd.to time delta inp unit d, the number of units that we want to increment. Here this should be t, not inp. Okay. So we'll see that your current date was something like this, and your incremented date would have, see, the date here was 1. Let's see here more clearly, 22 2022 10 1, and the incremented date is 2022 10 6. This is the date. It incremented by 5 days. Okay, you could also just pass a string 5 days, that would also work, but this is a more convenient and more reliable technique. So hope you enjoyed the lecture. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, share it with friends and data science enthusiasts, and most importantly, learn and attempt all these interview questions. Pause before looking at the solutions. See you in the next lecture. Have a nice day. Jai Hind.